My mentality is the process, right? And not really the end result. I set the end result and what that goal is, and then my whole mind is the process, the day to day. I never thought when I was in high school, oh, I'm going to get to the NFL. It was, okay, how am I going to be the best high school football player I can be on my football team? The best athlete and the best student. You try to be like that for your 4 years in high school. Then you get college, and it's the same thing. You just try to be the best player you can every single day, the best teacher or the best student you can be every single day, best athlete you can be every single day, best teammate. Collectively, all that kind of adds up and gets together, and then that's kind of what happened with me. I don't know if there was a time where I realized, hey, I could do this. It was just more of, okay, focus every single day on getting 1% better, and eventually that's going to add up to and get you where you want to get to.
Today I'm sitting with NFL fullback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Michael Burton. Michael played college football at Rutgers University and was drafted by the Detroit Lions in the 5th round of the 2015 NFL Draft. Michael is entering his 7th year in the NFL, where the average NFL career of a running back is only 3.5 years, and the average overall career of an NFL player is only 2.5 years. Michael has defied all odds by not only getting drafted into the NFL from a smaller Division I school, but also by keeping himself healthy and reliable, having now played on 5 NFL teams in his 7-year career and earning himself over $5 million in career earnings so far. Beyond the NFL, Michael is a Bitcoin hodler. Today, we will explore Michael's journey of accomplishing his dream of becoming an NFL player and now an NFL veteran, as well as his journey to discovering Bitcoin. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
All right, as you know, I bring docents onto this show. Docents are people that inspire, influence, and guide others through the relentless behaviors and characteristics of being a relentless athlete, a business person, or something to that nature. You, my friend, you are definitely a docent. So welcome to the show. Let's learn who your docents were growing up.
Yeah, that's a great question. I really got to go with my family, my parents, my wife. They have stuck with me my whole side, growing up. I've always wanted to be an NFL player, and I knew it was going to take a lot of hard work, but you can't do it if you don't surround yourself with the right people. I've been dating my wife now since I was in 8th grade. So She's been through it all with me, through my side. That support, and my parents and my family, brothers and sisters, have all been there to help support me to get to this dream. And I would definitely have to say, collectively as a group, those people for sure.
Let me rewind the tape. I ask a lot of people on this show, who are your top 3 rappers of all time? So tell us, who are your top 3 rappers?
Top 3 rappers of all time: Lil Wayne, Eminem, and top 3 rappers. I would have to say probably Tupac or Biggie. If I'm going old school, I'm listening to one of those 2 guys. I mean, they can get your mind right, whether you were just chilling or if you got to go out, you're about to go play a game. Like, those guys can get your mind right. And Eminem and Lil Wayne the same way. So,
Mike, I was going to ask you, in the locker room, what are you guys listening to? I'm sure you guys are listening to music.
It's a lot of the new age rap now. A lot of these new rappers, not so much old school anymore, but sometimes you get, the old veterans who have been in there, 10, 12 years, and they'll throw on, some old heads and stuff like that. But a lot of it now is just kind of this new age rap. So
obviously the stuff that I listened to when I was in college was like, we would listen to like Biggie or something like that, or Tupac.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of who I grew up listening to, when I was in middle school, high school, and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, Mike, tell us about your parents. What did your parents do for a living?
So my dad is a roofer, and he owned his own roofing company. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She raised 4 kids. I have a brother and 2 sisters, older brother, older sister, and younger sister. And, I have a 3.5-month-old right now, and I can already tell from my wife that's the hardest job there is that stay-at-home mom and raising those kids. So that's what she did. But my dad, blue-collar roofer, kind of built that mentality in me to, work hard, persevere, and just at the end of the day, all you can do is work as hard as you can, and then where the chips fall, they may. So,
was your dad a player? Did he play football when he was a kid?
So he played football. Yeah, he grew up playing football. He played football in high school, and then he played football at college. Actually, Susquehanna. He was a quarterback.
Wow.
And so I guess that's a little bit of the genes I got was from him for sure. So,
when did you start playing football? What age?
I guess 6 years old, right? I think that's the first age you can start playing flag. Yeah, the first you could playing flag. I would say 6 years old. Yeah, is when I started playing.
As a kid, which athletes did you admire and look up to?
Oh man, growing up, Michael Jordan, obviously, Kobe Bryant, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods. I looked at athletes who were the best at what they did, but I looked for the consistency. Who was doing it decade after decade after decade? And those, there's many more, but those are a few that just came to mind, that each and every night they came out and they gave it all, every single play, every single game, every single rep. And that result was they were just champions year after year, decade after decade. And that's something that, I strive to be like that. That's why you work. They were certainly very, very motivational in my life growing up.
I've had a few athletes come on the show. Obviously, Kevin, right? I've had Kevin on. Frankie Edgar's been on, a few other guys. Got Al Leiter coming up in a couple days.
Yeah.
I always ask people, what other sports did you play? Like CJ Wilson, professional baseball player, 2-time All-Star. Like, today it seems like people are just singularly focused on sports. It's tough to do that with football, but you could see that with tennis and wrestling and a lot of other type of individual sports. As a kid, did you play a lot of different sports?
I did. When I was young, high school, middle school, I played every sport: baseball, soccer. I played ice hockey. I played everything you could as a kid growing up. And then as I got a little bit older, I just stuck with basketball. And then when I got to high school, I just did football and lacrosse, actually. And then I stopped playing lacrosse my junior year and just kind of focused on football my senior year. But to answer your question, I agree. Playing multiple sports, I think they all bring something different to the table. They can help you out athletically. Everything's, a lot of sports are different movements and things like that. And it just it helps you become a better athlete, and you're working with groups, and it helps you become a better, teammate, better leader. So I think it's great to play multiple sports for sure.
So we all have a dream of, let's say people who play football all have a dream to go to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the ultimate goal. I think there's some guys in the team that realize they just can't even possibly get there. You saw it at some point that this is a possibility. Like, what age did you realize not only did you dream about it, because dreams are one thing, wishing for something's one thing, wanting it and then setting the goals to go get it is a whole nother ball game. So at what age did you recognize, I think I got a shot at this?
That's a great question. I don't know if there was an age where I was like, you know what, I think I got a shot. My mentality is the process, right? And not really the end result. I set the end result and what that goal is, and then my whole mind is the process, the day to day. So I never thought when I was in high school, I'm going to get to the NFL. It was, okay, how am I going to be the best high school football player I can be on my football team, the best athlete and the best student? And then you try to be like that for your 4 years in high school. Then you get to college, and it's the same thing. You just try to be the best player you can every single day, the best teacher or the best student you can be every single day, best athlete you can be every single day, best teammate, right? And then I think collectively all that kind of adds up and gets together, and then you're kind of ready for that next step. And I think that's kind of when what happened with me. I don't know if there was a time where I realized, hey, I could do this. It was just more of, okay, focus every single day on, getting 1% better. And eventually that's going to add up to and get you where you want to get to.
In high school, were you also a fullback? Did you play defense too? Or?
I was a running back, linebacker, and a kicker and punter in high school.
Really? So, kicker and punter?
Yes. Yeah. I know. And
they're not making fun of that kicker.
No. Yeah, exactly. So I did, typical. I'm sure you were the same way. If you were one of the better players on your high school team, like you did everything.
Iron Man.
Yeah, it didn't come off. Yeah, just played both ways, played all special teams. And, but again, I think that is what helped me, kind of get Rutgers on my radar, just because I was doing a different array of things. I wasn't recruited necessarily as a running back to Rutgers. That was something I could do, but there was linebacker was thrown in there a little bit too, kind of maybe like a hybrid guy who we can maybe use him, not a two-way starter, but if something happens, he can be maybe a rotational guy and stuff like that. So I think it was really beneficial to play multiple positions in high school. I think that ended up helping me out in, my collegiate career.
What awards did you get when you were in high school? So
I was first team all state, all county, and, MVP of my team on offense. And, I think that was that was pretty much it. All state, all county.
And what kind of stats did you have as a running back your senior year?
So my senior year,
career.
Career. That's a great question. I don't know career. Senior year, I want to say maybe 1,700 yards rushing, maybe 20, 25 touchdowns rushing as well. A few receiving, some throwing. I played a little bit of quarterback my senior year as well. And, I think that was it. How many all-purpose yards? I forget how many purpose yards. But, points scored, I had the record for that because I was also the kicker, like I was telling you. So all the extra points and field goals was me posting touchdowns. Yeah, exactly.
You don't get many kickers and also running backs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I had the school record for that, for points scored in the season. So
has your high school inducted you into the Hall of Fame?
No, has not inducted me to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if I have a Hall of Fame, to be honest with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know.
They inducted me in my Hall of Fame for football, but it was really because of my business career, I think.
Business career? Oh, that's awesome, though. Congratulations.
I was like, they don't have a business Hall of Fame, so the guy put me in for that. I was like, I'll take it. Show my kids and be like, I was a great athlete.
The football Hall of Fame they put you in?
Yeah, I'm in the Hall of Fame for sports, athletic Hall of Fame, but they didn't
retire your jersey?
No,
I didn't retire the jersey.
I wasn't that good. I was a good football player, but I wasn't. There was people on my team that were better than me, I think. But I think.
What position did you play?
I was a fullback, just like you.
Okay,
you were a tailback, but I was a fullback, and I was a middle linebacker. So I excelled at middle linebacker. I was a pretty good middle linebacker.
Now, what offense did you guys run? Wing T? The fullback?
Yeah, wing T, it was Delaware wing T. Yep.
So you got a lot of carries. So you got a good.
Yeah, but it wasn't because of the offense. I broke a record my senior year in a game. I played with this guy, Matt Baronier, great linebacker, probably better than me. He was out one game because he had a concussion in the prior game against Red Bank. And in that game, I had like 20 tackles, and I blocked an extra point. We won 7-6, and so it was like a career highlight kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I played all the games that year, did really well, got picked up all shore. I didn't get all state. I got group 3 all state. You know what I mean?
Okay, so, yeah. Well, okay, so I was first team. We were also group 3 in high school as well. So first team group 3 all state. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I wasn't first team on that, so I didn't get the actual all state. I got that, but it's still an all state. I was top 50 linebacker basically in the state.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But this show's not about me, bro. It's about you.
No. I was just curious.
No. Yeah, totally. But you know what? Never made it to that level. I went to Monmouth University, and then after Monmouth, I went to a Division III school. I transferred out. So I don't know what it's like at the Division I school. I'm just curious, what kind of like workouts were you guys doing all year long? If you could just kind of walk us through your work ethic at college, and then what the difference is now in the NFL and how hard you guys are working.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're in college, it's pretty much 24/7. There's not a ton of downtime, to be honest with you. I mean, you start there. You show up in the fall, that's when the season starts, but you're there in the summer. You got to go to the summer program, and you're lifting, you're conditioning, you're going at least 4 or 5 days a week with maybe the weekend off. And you also have summer school too, and classes and stuff like that. So you're trying to juggle that. I'll say this, just to point out, the biggest adjustment from high school to college was actually the time management aspect of things, just because you have so much going on and you got to prioritize your time if you really want to be successful. So that was one thing I really leaned on some of the older guys who had kind of paved the way and were successful that's something I wanted to get done and figured out early on, because that really helped me, with my career. Cause like I said, you're working out, you're lifting, you're running a couple hours a day, then you got to go study, then you're going to school and you're doing the same thing the next day. Not a ton of downtime, right? So then that's kind of the summer into the season. And then in the season, it's game week, right? So you're practicing pretty much every day besides, the day of the game, obviously. And I think we had one off day, which was, I think, Monday or something like that. But even then, you're coming in, you're working out, you're doing recovery, you're watching film, you're studying the next week's opponent, so you're trying to get ahead on tape. So that's kind of that whole routine, during the season. And then when the season's over, you get maybe a few weeks off for exams, right? And finals. So the coaches kind of let you study and just kind of focus on, academics at that time. And you do those. And then once that's over, you're back to working out. You're kind of staying in shape because spring ball is right around the corner. Yeah. And you go to spring ball, and that's, you got how many practices? Maybe 15 to 20 practices. You're practicing spring ball. You got a spring game. Then maybe you have a week or two off, and then bam, you're right back there for the summer program again. So in college, it's not a lot of downtime. You're always working and trying to stay in shape all year round, because whether it's in the season or spring ball or the summer, like you kind of always got to be on top of your game. And, the way Coach Shiano, that's who I started off with at Rutgers, kind of ran his program. I think that is another guy who helped me, get to the NFL as well, just because he ran it like a pro program. He put a lot of it on us, that we were responsible for, taking care of our bodies, for working out, staying in shape. And that kind of helped me in the NFL for sure. And Coach Flood was the same way as well.
What's the difference between that college program and the level of work that you're putting in the gym as well as the training with your teammates as versus the NFL? Like, are they stepping it up, or is it kind of the same? Or
yeah, I think it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more freedom, I'd say, in the NFL. I think coaches, depending on what age you are and how long you've been in the league and things like that, kind of allow you to take control of what, maybe has worked for you, right? Like if you're a guy who's been in the league for a while and you kind of know what your body needs, what your body takes and all that kind of stuff, then they kind of a little bit more lenient. But from a time perspective, I mean, I would say we probably have a little bit more downtime. We have after the season's over, you have a few months off before you got to show back up for OTAs is what are we in our right now. And again, that's just lift and run in practices, just helmets and stuff like that. And that's about, 3, 4, 5 weeks or so. And then you get a break for the summer and then you're right after training camp. So I think the difference from college is probably a little bit less time. You're there maybe at the facility. And then while you're there, there's a CBA, collective bargaining agreement, we have a union. So it turns a little bit more of a business where there's rules in place, how many hours you can spend at the facility, how many hours you can spend with the coaches and all that kind of stuff. So I would say there's a little more time constraint in the NFL, which maybe limits the access you have in terms of working out and that kind of stuff as opposed to college. So that's definitely a bit a difference that I noticed, kind of early on.
I would imagine the NFL has nutritionists too that are kind of working in.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you get there, you get a body fat percentage, you do a conditioning test, kind of see how you move and, are you in shape and stuff like that. You get a body weight and they kind of based on that, they'll kind of put you at your body weight and kind of what that looks like, kind of what they want you at and stuff like that. And then you kind of work with the nutritionist, whether it's to lose weight or whether to gain weight or even to maintain, you go to the nutritionist to help you what to eat, when to eat and all those, all those things. And I think that's really important. They weren't super popular back then, but now they just help so much with performance. I think we've come such a long way in understanding how important food is and nutrition and recovery and all that stuff to help us, be at our best.
I mean, I feel like Tom Brady's changed the game. It's all about the nutrition, right?
The nutrition, the sleep aspect of it, taking care of your body, avoiding
no alcohol,
putting bad things in your body, no alcohol, drug, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it really adds up. And I will say that's one thing for me that I take so serious and so important to me is because I'm not a guy who's going to walk on the field and be the most athletic or the biggest or the strongest, right? So I need to find an edge. Yep. And my edge can be, what am I doing off the field, right? I always tell guys, it's like, yeah, you may work, super, super hard for 2 hours in the gym, right? But then what are you doing, the 22 other hours in the day? Are you eating bad? Are you only sleeping 5 hours? Are you recovering? You know what I'm saying? So for me, sleep, nutrition, avoiding, I don't drink at all. Haven't had to drink alcohol since I got into the league. So all those types of things are just so important, because they can just help you kind of get that edge on your competition because, you're not sure what they're going to be doing,
You mentioned the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. We both know of Keith Elias. I don't know if you ever met him, but obviously he's a Jersey Shore kind of guy. Played for the New York Giants and the Colts in his career.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was leaving college and I was like, 2001, I guess it was. I think it was the year that the XFL came out. And Keith Elias goes into the XFL and he's on the sidelines and they come up to him and they interview him and they ask him why'd you join the XFL and not just stay in the NFL? And he's like, he goes, well, the collective bargaining agreement is that every year you're there, they increase the minimum wage that you have to get paid. He's like, and it got to a point where financially it didn't make sense to keep me in the NFL but for these teams because they can get a younger guy in for less. He's like, I'm willing to take less money, but under the union, you can't break the contract,
Right.
So, like I said, the average NFL career, 2.5 years, you're in the 7th year. I would imagine you're on the lower end of pay.
Yeah.
Is that something that other guys talk about? Because it's like there to protect you, but at the same time, it actually hurts you the longer you have a career.
Yeah, I think there's, like you alluded to, there's certainly scenarios where guys may be cut for salary cap reasons. I think we saw that pretty severe this past year with COVID and the salary cap dropping when we didn't think we didn't know a pandemic was going to happen and the salary cap was going to drop to what it dropped to maybe 180, 185 when it was supposed to be maybe over 200. So I think you saw in that case, but I think you see it with maybe older guys who are on the back end of their
Right.
contracts or maybe do a high salary.
Bro, you're getting old.
You know, it's just, it's just one of those situations where, you know, like you said, teams can find younger guys that can maybe do the job as well. And they're so much cheaper. And, you know, that's the business side of it, of just trying to find players that, you know, obviously great players, but for the least amount of money. So you have that extra cash to spread around. So I understand that, but that's why it's responsibility of the players to understand that. And that's why you gotta always be on top of your game, man. When you walk into that locker room, when you walk into that facility, like, it's a job interview every single day. Yeah, man. And I try to tell young guys that. I try to tell guys that all the time. It's like, you can't worry about the money, the salary cap, this, that, and the other. Just focus on being the best player you can be for that team to help them win a Super Bowl. And, you know, if you're doing that and whatever happens, at least you can, you know, sleep well at night and that you have no regrets. So that's kind of my focus. I've never really paid attention to the salary cap and all that kind of stuff. I always just figured, hey, look, if I'm putting my best foot forward, I'm going to be the best, you know, player I can be for this team. You know, give them a reason not to cut me, right? And that's kind of my mentality.
My cousin, she dated a guy back when she was in college. She didn't go to Rutgers, but she dated Clark Harris. You probably know who Clark is, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, he's still going, right?
That's what I'm saying, man. This guy's been in the NFL forever. And he found his spot as a long snapper I remember he got interviewed one time when he was at the Bengals. It was an internal interview the Bengals did on their website, on their blog. And he got an opportunity because a guy literally snapped the ball over someone's head. Bang, they put Clark in, the other guy's gone. He's like, I just got to not do that. I guess he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, that's part of it too, man. There's a little bit of luck that's involved at this level. There has to be, just because it's so competitive, it's so cutthroat, that you gotta put yourself in a position though to kind of earn that luck, if you will. And I think that's kind of what Clark did, right? He was on the roster because of what he'd done prior, and then unfortunately, you never want to, you know, see that happen to your fellow teammate. Bad play, but the thing about it is, when he got that opportunity, he never looked back, and now he's been there for however many years playing at a high level. Consistency. And I think, and again, that's what I'm talking about, is that consistency. When you asked me before about, you know, inspirations are who's doing it a year after year, because guys can have a great year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, but who are the guys who are doing it just for decades, man, years after years? I mean, it's just so impressive. And those are the kind of guys you want to surround yourself by, you know what I'm saying? With every team I've been on, I try to go to the vet who's been there for 10, 12 years, because that's where I want to get to, right? So I always say, surround yourself with people to where they are to, that's where you want to get to. So surround yourself with those types of people. So I always go to the 10, 12-year vets every team I'm on, and just try to pick up something new that they do, whether it be their recovery routine, their nutrition routine, their practice routine, and try to collectively add that to my routine. And hopefully that can propel me to get to that, you know, opportunity one day that's 10, 12 years. So
we spoke the other day. You were out in Kansas City. You came home for the weekend to see the family and stuff. I guess you have to do this like bi-coastal thing or whatever it is for now. A little bit of travel.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And it's funny because I'm friends with Darian Barnes. You probably know Darian, right? Yeah. Played at Toms River and then he went to the NFL. I think he played on 8 teams in 7 years. You have a similar path here, 5 teams in 7 years, right?
Absolutely.
And he was like you. He was a fullback, I think, right? I think he has a Super Bowl ring when he was at Tampa. It's kind of cool. He showed me the ring. But what was interesting is he bounced around a lot, and he said when he went into training camp his first year, these veterans come in and they tell you, be careful with your money, man. Don't go out and buy fancy cars and houses. Don't even just rent houses. I see that's what you're probably doing, rent an apartment or something, because you might get kicked out. You're not like a top guy. You're not Tom Brady. You're not going to be here for 5-6 years. You might be here 5 years, but you might not be. And in his case, he got bounced around so much, he has more teams than years in the NFL. You know what I mean? Because it happened mid-year one time. And he's like, if I had bought a house every time, I'd be broke, right? And then he became a high school football coach, and he's got a nice pension from the NFL becoming to him. And I saved up a bunch of money too. Did you have those conversations with veterans, and how have you managed your money, like, you know, in terms of like trying to think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I use resources before I got into the league, and maybe the year before, and then my rookie year, second year, I looked to guys who from Rutgers, Kevin Malice, Brian Leonard, you know, Devin, Jason McCourty, those guys who I looked up to when they're at Rutgers. You know, obviously they do things the right way on and off the field. And those are one of the things that they said, look, don't live where your means are at, because when that's taken away, the drop is going to be so significant that you're not going to know what to do. So for me, it's like, all right, live at the means as if I was a normal 29-year-old in corporate America. What's he making? And try to live off that budget. So then when it is taken away, right, because at the NFL, they say since, not for long, at some point when it does go away, that, like I was alluding to, that drop is not significant, and you have saved money and you've invested it properly, and, you have a better start on life, because again, you're going to have to, a guy like me is going to have a second career. It's not, you're retired after your career is over. Like, right. You're going to have to find another job, but maybe you have some breathing room because of how you saved, how you've invested, and those types of things. So absolutely agree with that for sure.
Let's talk about the mindset, right, to get yourself to where you got. And there's a few things I always talk about with all the docents that come on here. You being a docent, I want to understand psychologically how you think about things. Do you compete with others, or do you compete with yourself?
Certainly compete with myself, but I would be not telling the full truth if I didn't try to compete with others and be the best and most competitive person in the room when I walk in that room, whether it's the weight room or the practice field. If I'm trying to finish and be the hardest practicer out there, right? And that's for myself, because that's to better myself. But it's also to kind of be like, well, I'm willing to finish harder than you. I'm willing to work harder than you. It doesn't really matter what you do. Like, I'm always going to be here working just as hard, or if not harder. So I would say it's a little bit of both for sure.
Let me go back to the NFL Combine for a second. That had been an amazing experience. What did you get on your? Tell me all your stuff. Your 40, your vertical jump, your 225. Like, yeah.
Okay, so my 40 was I ran 2 attempts. My best attempt was a 4.74, I want to say.
And that's electronically timed. That's real. Yeah.
That was electronic time, 4.74. My vertical jump, I want to say, was maybe, again, could all be looked up.
We could Google it. Yeah, sure.
32, 33. Yeah, 32, 33.
That's about what I was, yeah.
Yeah, I think. And then I don't remember my 5.10.5 in my pro day. I want to say it was in the low 4s, so maybe 4.15, maybe 2.0, something like that. I think the L cone was 6.85 in my pro day, and then I did 26 at the combine at the bench, did 26 reps at the combine, and then 30 at my pro day.
Good. What's the best you ever did that without being in a competition or anyway? What's the best you ever done? You tried train for that, right?
I trained for that, and I never. How many times I can't remember. I didn't touch 30. I know that for sure.
Oh, for real? Okay.
But I did at the pro day, but I don't think I did in training, to be honest with you. I think I can't remember what I hit to be honest with you during training. But yes, I definitely did train for that for sure. So, but like those numbers, man, I mean, they're not crazy, crazy numbers. They're pretty probably average across the board, but sure. I would say I'm trying to get stronger now, quicker now, and faster now than maybe when I was, at the combine.
I mean, did you see Tom Brady in his, we'll put it up in the B-roll, but did you see Tom Brady when he did his photo, when they take a photo of you? It's like, why are they doing it? They're embarrassing me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say I'm probably leaner now, quicker now, maybe a little more explosive now than I was back then. So, but that's goes back to always trying to get better and always trying to improve, and not just, being complacent. That's the worst thing you can do is be complacent.
Let's go back to that mindset. So we all get nervous before big games. I read this book, Relentless, by Tim Grover, who's the trainer for Michael Jordan. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I read that as well.
Yeah, great book.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, great book.
He talks about how even Michael Jordan admitted to being nervous before big games. It's not about the nervousness though, right? It's like he's thinking to himself, if I'm feeling this, I can't imagine what they're feeling, because he knows he's prepared, right? So like, how do you channel that energy, that nervousness before you go into a big game or something? Like, explain that.
Yeah, I think like you alluded to a little bit, it's the preparation, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having those nerves and those excitement before a game. Like that's just going to come. That's just a natural feeling that you're going to have before a big game. And I have those feelings, but I think you take a take a second, sit back and say, look, I prepared all through the week. I know my opponent. I've watched the tape. I've worked extremely hard to practice. Like I've taken care of myself all the way up into this week. Like I should have no regrets. So just go let it fly. If you've done that all throughout, you win the game during the week. You don't win the game on Sunday, right? So if you're doing the right things Monday through Saturday, then you earn that right to then feel confident to go out and play. So while I think those nerves do happen, I think you need to. I personally like to sit back and say, look, but like this is what I did throughout the week. Like and then I envision success. And I think those are things that kind of help me kind of get rid of those nerves, if you will. So
how much do you feel instincts and intuition have played in your success? Do you think that's something that's learned, experienced, or you just innately have that?
Yeah, I think part of it is just you kind of have that, like when you're out on the field and you just allow yourself to kind of just take over. Like it's more of a reaction, you can prepare as much as you want to prepare for a game on Sunday, and I agree with that. I'm a huge preparation guy. I believe that leads to success. But at the end of the day, when you get on the field, so many different things are going to happen. You're going to be put in situations you didn't prepare for. The team's going to do this. They're going to come out with a different scheme. Maybe a guy's inactive that you thought was going to play, so you studied him, but now it's another guy. Or they switch guys around on special teams, so you're blocking a different guy or the linebacker or whatever have you. Like they bring a different pressure that week. So there's going to be situations that are just going to come that you didn't necessarily prepare for. But you fall back to your training. And then it's that ability you just talked about, that innate like senses that you have that kind of you get put in a situation and you just react. And I think part of it is you just have it. I think part of it maybe is learned. You watch guys do it and you study tape and you can learn it a little bit. But I think a part of it is just you just have that or you don't. So.
And when you were a kid, like playing Pop Warner or going into high school, there was always like these kids on the team that, you could just push around and stuff,
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell are they even doing out here? We needed them, but you say to yourself, like, I can't even believe they're out here. They're getting their asses kicked and stuff. You don't have that in the NFL. You guys are all-staters, right? I mean, it's a whole different ball game. I can't imagine what your practices are like when there's contact, what it's like when there's contact, right?
Right. I mean, the NFL it's comprised of all the best players that were on all your college teams. Like that, you were the best player on your college team. If you're on that roster, and exactly. And another thing about the NFL too that I learned, there's certainly a jump up, physical. The guys are faster, guys are bigger, guys are stronger. I would say that. But the biggest thing is the mental side of it.
Yeah.
Guys are playing faster because they know exactly what to do. There's very, very minimal mistakes. Yeah. There's no hesitation. Where in college, a guy might be like, game's not as fast because he might not be 100% on his assignment, because the NFL, they won't put you out there unless you know your assignment 100%. And that's why the game is so fast, because everybody knows exactly what to do. So
what I find amazing is some of these catches in the NFL, like these one-handed catches and stuff. It's like you just don't see that in high school anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people?
No, I know.
How do they find them?
Yeah, exactly. That's just talent, man. I guess. I mean,
Are you
there's guys
do these wide receivers practice that kind of stuff in practice, or is that just something that just happens in the game?
There's certainly drills that you could do to practice that, but again, you can't. I mean, unless you're going to full speed rep in practice, it's hard to replicate a 50-yard throw down the sideline, one hand over a DB. Like it's hard to replicate that. Like that's back kind of what you said before. Like you either got it or you don't.
Yeah.
And more often than not, if you're a receiver in this league, like you got it. So that's why you see those catches. And there's some guys who really got it, right? And those are your generational players, your all pros. They're guys that have a mix of freakish natural ability and then also freakish natural work ethic. And those are your guys. Those are your Larry Fitzgeralds, your Jerry Rice's, Calvin Johnsons, Julio Jones, like those guys that just, I mean, they got it all because they bring their work ethic backs it up, man. And those guys, I mean, playing with Calvin, he was the hardest worker on the field. I mean, Drew Brees, hardest worker on the field, wasn't even close. And that's how you get to play 20 years and you're first ballot Hall of Famer, when you have that work ethic to back up your
So
talent.
who are like the top few players you played with in the league and that you've kind of, I would say almost like docents to you that are your peers, right?
Yeah, that are my peers, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, definitely one for sure. Drew Brees, definitely another one. Khalil Mack, another one from Chicago. I mean, it's only been, even a guy like Haloti Ngata, who maybe went a little bit under the radar, but a guy who played 12 years as a defensive lineman, had a few Pro Bowls. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, even now being in the locker room these past few weeks, in Kansas City, you got like Tyrann Mathieu, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I mean, the guys that just play at an elite level year in and year out. Yeah, I mean, those guys, those are a little newer. I haven't, played in the game with them yet, but you could just see them in practice. You see the way they carry themselves around the building, how they attack lifts, how they attack practice, even though it's OTAs, like they attack it, man. And I think that's what separates the really good players from like the elite players. Yeah.
Mike, what is your superpower?
Superpower. I don't have a super. I mean,
what's your best?
I don't have
the best attribute.
Trust me.
I love the
best
humility.
attribute. Trust me. I do not have a superpower. My best attribute. I think for me, it's just trying to be consistent with all the little things. I think nowadays, especially, there's just a lot of fluff maybe that goes into workouts, and guys are always trying to find the next best workout or next best thing. And it's like, man, you just got to do the little things right all the time. And then the big things are going to take care of themselves. Like, the thing about it is the little things they're so tedious. And that's why people like jump ship so quickly, because it's so mentally, it's all mental. It's not necessarily physical, man. It's mentally telling yourself, I have to eat like this. I have to get this amount of sleep. So whatever pops up, whether my friends ask me to go out, do this, I can't. And I think it's a mental thing to be able to say no to that and to be able to do that consistently day in and day out over the course of years. So I think for me, at least I try to make my best attribute be consistency.
It reminds me of, like, in finance, compound interest. It's like the greatest force in the world, right? And so
absolutely
you let it sit and be patient, like with Bitcoin, right? We'll talk about that later.
Right.
Or anything, it's stocks, whatever. But it's the same thing with whatever you put in, you get out. And if you go to the gym every day, you just do a little bit every day. Watch your diet. Don't eat sugar. Like, don't drink alcohol. Like, and it just slowly over the years, you'll see amazing results. But people in this society, they're just so impatient, right? It's like instant gratification. You know,
everybody's looking for instant gratification, and it's like, no, to be successful, it takes years, man. It takes years to find that success, and it's all about consistency. I mean, when I first got into the league, I mentioned Haloti because he said to me, he goes, I would take care of my body. He would see me stretching, rolling out, getting hot tubs, cold tubs, all those different types of things. And he goes, man, that is so smart that you're doing that, because that's is what has helped me get to be. I mean, man, he's well over 300 pounds. Don't get me wrong. He's in great shape, but he's well over. So to be over that heavy, right, for your joints, think about how that feels. To do that for 12 years to play at the high level, like, he took care of his body to an extreme level. But like you said, compound interest, he got that result by doing that. And he was able to play for so long. And, again, it's just the little things. Like you said, like, you don't, maybe the market goes down, but you don't want to jump ship. Just stay in it. You have a plan of why you're invested in, whether it's stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, whatever it is, you have a plan, right? Don't just jump ship, just stick with it and be consistent. So I think you can definitely use that, in your life as well. So
Mike, what is your kryptonite? So we went over your superpower. What's your kryptonite?
My kryptonite. It's a great question. Oh man. I do put an emphasis on nutrition. That's something that is extremely important to me, but at the same time, definitely a guy who likes to eat and enjoy food. So it's something I try to, not that it's a battle, but I definitely have to put a little bit more attention on that for sure, just to make sure I am eating the right things and not, eating too many sweets and all that kind of stuff.
So let me ask you this. I talked to business people on here too. I just had Raj Kapoor on my show yesterday. He's the founder of Snapfish, the photo sharing site. I ask these questions, it sometimes doesn't make so much sense for business, but in football, this is a good question. Would you rather be feared or liked?
Feared or liked? Rather be feared or liked. I would like them. I guess I would say, man. Did you ask Malice this question?
I think I did.
Do you know what he said?
I don't remember.
I'm curious. You don't remember? Yeah.
I'm not giving you a bailout.
I would say that they're fearful of how much they like me. How about that? That's what no.
Well, you're still in the league, so it's a little different. People might see this.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Well, think about when you were a kid, right? I'll be honest with you. Like, when I played football, I wanted them to fear me. And I know people, it's not popular to say this, but
you're talking about you're talking about your opponent, or just like,
I'm talking about everybody.
The organization.
If you were on my team,
everybody.
But I was taught. My grandfather was the president of Pop Warner when I was a kid, and he's like, "These are not your friends out here, man."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, nobody's your friend in football. You are when you're on the game, but not in practice, right? In practice,
yeah, exactly. Right.
It's a war.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the competition now, I was looking at for a standpoint, like with your own teammates, like in the locker room and stuff like that. But
you want to be
when you get between those white lines, exactly. When you get between those white lines and you're strapped up, you want to be feared for sure. Absolutely. just come out. You want to show how competitive you are, and like each single rep, that's a game rep, right? And that's how you got to take it. So yeah, definitely.
And that's probably a big difference in the NFL than it was when you were younger, right? Like they're taking it seriously every single rep, because
every rep's a game rep.
Yeah,
exactly. Because every time you're out there and you step on that field, everything's filmed, right? So you either have the opportunity to put something good on tape, or you're putting something bad on tape. Yeah. So you got to put something good on tape. So every time you're out there, every rep that you have, it has to be your best rep.
Explain that to the audience, because I don't know that everybody realizes this. They have those scaffolds, and they're watching everything all the times, and they rewind it later. Yeah.
Yes. They are watching every time we get on that field. They are filming it, and they're watching it, and they're grading it. They have a whole scouting department of individuals who are grading your tape, and then grading it with maybe street free agents, grading it with college kids, other pro guys. Look, that's why the NFL is the way it is, because they're always looking to replace you, because they're always looking to bring in someone who's better. They're always just trying to make their team better. And you can't fault them for that. That's part of the business. That's how you win Super Bowls. Is you get the best team, right? So they are always filming everything, and that's an opportunity, like I said before, to put something good on tape or put something bad on tape. So when you're out there, you got to make sure you're putting good stuff on tape every single day. I think I said it a little bit earlier in the show. It's a job interview every single day you walk into that. Every single day you walk in that door, it's a job interview, and you want to ace that job interview. So that's you winning reps and working hard, finishing, and being the best practicer you can be, right? The best players I've been around on every team, they've always been the best practicers. They work the hardest. They take it the most seriously. So that's something I try to be.
And it's like when you were younger, you're running 100 miles an hour in practice, and I was one of those kind of players. But sure. Other guys are like, oh, come on, we got a superstar over here, right? Nobody's doing that shit in the NFL, because everybody's working 100 miles an hour.
Everybody's doing that. There's none of that calling guys out for
working hard.
Working hard. No, there's none of that. I mean, there's guys who set the standard expectation, and you better meet that standard expectation. I mean, like I said before, the veterans, right?
And
the guys who've been there for a while. Yeah, guys who've been there for a while. I mean, you got to meet that standard expectation, because typically a lot of the veterans, they played a while, but they probably also, been on a few teams and winning teams, and they know what it takes to win, right? So they understand how important practice is and how important it is to practice hard every single day.
Warren Buffett says it takes 20 years to build your reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. I was going to ask you how important your reputation is to you and how you try to protect that reputation.
It's everything. It's everything, man. It's, it's who you are as a person. It's what people think about you. And, it's something I try to protect. And that's why you try to be respectful to people all the time. And you avoid distractions. You eliminate people that, don't have your best interest in mind. Sometimes that's tough to do. But again, you work so hard every single day, to show people, show coaches, show your teammates the type of person that you are, that you can't get caught up doing something, something stupid. I always try to say, no matter where I'm at, it could be in the facility, it could be my home state in Maryland, or wherever I am in the world, right? You represent something bigger than yourself. You represent the Kansas City Chiefs. And you got to understand that that's bigger than you. You're representing an organization, coaches, teammates who are all grinding every single day to help win a Super Bowl. So it's selfish to put yourself in a bad situation and then make that organization look bad. So you avoid distractions and just stay out of trouble and don't put your reputation on the line,
right? Yeah,
and you represent your family. Yeah, and absolutely, certainly, people who have paved the way for you, parents, sisters, brothers who have sacrificed to help you get to where you are today, wife, kid, and absolutely, I agree with that too, for sure.
Honestly, bro, you represent your high school. You represent all the coaches that ever coached you. You represent everybody, right? A lot of people forget this. I see these athletes and stuff, and it's like you don't realize you're not representing just yourself and your own ego.
Yeah, it's all bigger than yourself. Absolutely. Right. Could not agree with you more.
No,
absolutely.
I love that answer. Yeah. All right, cool. So why don't you tell me what you're most proud of professionally so far in your career?
Most proud of professionally so far. It would actually have to be when I was chosen to be a captain back in 2018, actually each year in 19 too. So there's been a few years where I've been named captain. I was named the game captain. Cool. And I think that's special because I think, again, that's voted on by the players, right? Yeah. So that's them putting their trust in you that you can lead this team, that you've shown that you're capable of doing that because your work ethic and who you are in the locker room and who you are as a person. So to me, that was probably my greatest accomplishment, is what your peers think about you.
Who were 18? What team was that?
So that was Chicago in 18,
Chicago. Okay.
and then Washington in 19, and then a few in Detroit, so, and then this past year in New Orleans as well. So yeah, hopefully try to continue that trend, here in Kansas City this year. But that's something that's just special to me because when you're like we just talked about, man, when you walk out of that 50-yard line for the coin toss, in that moment, you're representing, the 50, 60, 70, 80 people behind you on the sideline, right? So it's just a special moment for sure.
In the stadium.
and the fans, yeah, absolutely. And the fans for sure.
Let me ask you this,
really
man, because I haven't talked to anybody who's actively in the NFL on the show yet. It's got to be weird with like the way they have limited fans, right? Playing.
So last year they had like no fans at all. I think there's a few games where you're allowed maybe limited fans or just like family and stuff like that. Yeah, you could definitely hear a lot more than you're used to for sure. But I tell people have asked me this question since the pandemic, and I say actually, you're so locked in on what your job responsibility is, like when you're actually playing, that like you eliminate all those distractions and you really don't even hear those people anyway. Yeah. Now again, third down, late in the game, got to have it. You're hearing it. Fans get juiced up. But for the most part, when I'm out there, like you're just so like you break the huddle. You're focusing on the defense. What's my assignment? Where's my guy? What do I got to do to get this play right? So any noise and stuff like that, you kind of eliminated that. So. But I tell you, when you're on the sideline, right, helmets off, and
they're yelling at you.
Let's say the defense, that. But like, let's say the defense is up this past year, and you're on offense, like you can hear calls and stuff like that because there was just no fans. Now they put crowd noise up, but it had to be the same across the entire league, and it just wasn't very high, and didn't really do much, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would say this past year for sure, you could definitely hear a little.
I would think it feels like a scrimmage almost, right? Because when you guys are in a scrimmage, you don't have 50,000 fans, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say that's a
preseason game,
probably. Right. Yeah, preseason game, something like that. I would probably say that's a good analogy for sure. So, yeah.
Late nights, early mornings, neglecting your friends and some of your family, possibly losing some friends, being misunderstood, overwhelmed, questioning your sanity. These are what I would call the costs to your success. Do you resonate with any of that?
Cost, yeah, I think for me, it's one word. It's obsessed. I mean, you got to be obsessed, and people who aren't obsessed won't understand it, and it's not really your responsibility to explain it to them. It's that's why when you ask me who my docents were, those people understand it. They get it. They understand the early mornings. They understand why I had to skip this so I could go to this. They understood why. I got to eat like this and why I have to study this film, and they understand that.
They get that you can't get drunk at the wedding, right?
They get all that stuff. And I think that's the word, is obsessed, man. You got to be obsessed. And especially a guy like me, I think it goes back to what you were saying before, because if you're not going to be the most athletic, the biggest, strongest, the fastest, you have to find an edge, and that's in your mentality and your preparation to find a way to get better every day. And if you're not, you won't last very long. And I think that obsessed, misunderstood, I think is when you're like that, I think you're on the right track, in my opinion. So
there's another thing here with friends and people in your lives, right? First, they ignore you because of all the things you're doing, right, to get to your goal. Yeah. Then they laugh at you for what you're doing because they're like, this guy thinks he's going to the NFL. Like, come on, you just hang out. He's trying to build a business and sell for a lot of money. Yeah, right. Good luck, right? But then they congratulate you and they say, I always knew you could do it after you did it. Did you feel that with any people around you growing up and stuff? Like,
no, I got to be honest. I had a really, really good support system with my family, my friends, high school friends who I'm still friends with today. Yeah. So I didn't feel that as much as maybe some guys. I know some guys definitely feel like that.
Yeah.
But again, I think that goes back to, and I know redundant, I know that's what I sound like, but again, that's all part of it, is you don't really worry about that stuff, man. You're just so focused on the process and like what you need to do to, find success. Who do you have to reach out to? What are your resources? Like reaching out to players and coaches, just finding a way to get better. And you don't really worry about who's congratulating you, who's not congratulating you, because that stuff doesn't really matter. It's not going to help you get to where you want to get to, so I'm sure guys have dealt with that, but I really didn't have to deal so much with that.
When I was a kid, I wanted to go to the NFL. I admire you and Kevin and everybody to be able to accomplish that. It's like a dream. Every kid who played football, they want to get to the NFL. What did it feel like when you became a millionaire?
Again, to me, that was it was important for the fact of being able to support my family, right? Being able to provide for them, provide for my child now, but hopefully children later, provide for their future, and put us in situations to, have success and those types of things. So really that's the most important thing to me. It's not anything else. It's not what you can buy with it. Something materialistic, all that stuff. Cause that stuff's going to go away, and, for me, it's just, being able to set up my daughter's college, right? Be able to, fill her 529, that kind of stuff. Like that's what excites me. And that's things like that is what helps me, be like, okay, I'm glad I was able to get to this point because now I can do these things that are going to help her in the future, right? When she's going to college and all those types of things. So to answer your question, it's, things like that.
Love that answer. Love it, bro.
Else, yeah.
And I gotta be honest with you, like I never thought about wanting to become a millionaire to play in the NFL. It was just like as a kid, you're just dreaming of playing NFL. It's not about the money.
And I should have started that off too. Yeah, right? It's not about the money. It's not, and that's I wasn't in.
It's
high
amazing
school.
that you get paid to play.
Yeah, I wasn't in high school or college, on my second or third workout of the day, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm, I got to get this extra rep because it's going to make me a millionaire one day." No, it's like I get to play in the NFL and live out a dream, and I get to play a game that I've dreamt of my entire life, that I've put all this hard work in my whole life, and it's at the top. It's the best of the best, and for me, that's really what all this hard work is for, is to be able to live out that dream. And like you said, a lot of kids dream of doing it, but if you're fortunate enough to be able to do it, you got to take advantage of it. That's another thing. You have to take advantage of it.
This is why we talked about the collective bargaining agreement earlier and the union. It's important that you have the union because we would play for free. Let's be honest, right? Like, I mean, if you let me get in the NFL for like $50,000 a year, I would have done it, right? Yeah. And so they're trying to protect you against yourself. The downside is when you get later in your years, and because of salary caps, they may cut you. And that part sucks. I think they got to fix that, in my opinion. There should be a minimum, right? But there shouldn't be caps going up because they'll cut you.
Sure.
Maybe that's something they worked out with the owners. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a kind of a double-edged sword. But the truth is, it isn't about the money, right? It's not. It's about the dream. Fulfilling your dream.
Yeah, it's about the dream, fulfilling the dream. It's about building relationships, like with players that are not going to last a lifetime. I've met friends that were at my wedding that I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life, that are going to be part of my family, and it's like coaches. Yeah, right. It's meeting coaches and having a relationship with coaches, and it's maybe setting up that second career. If I want to get into coaching or get into scouting, the personnel side of things, it's building those relationships now to help set up, your future and stuff. So the money obviously is something that comes along with it, and it's great for sure, because it can help you, like I said before, support your family and put your children in situations to be successful and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other things that maybe guys should focus on a little bit more, while they're in it,
You probably got the best of both worlds. I talk about this with some of the athletes, the fame aspect. I mean, as a fullback in the NFL, I'm guessing you don't get a ton of people that recognize who you are, especially wearing a helmet and everything like that. Most athletes, I mean, unless you're I don't know, like Tom Brady, whatever, like one of the top guys. I'd imagine you don't deal with that to a large extent, but there's probably some.
No, not at all.
Right? Do you deal
not
with
really
that?
at all. No. I mean,
so you go on vacation,
really
it's cool, nobody knows you. Yeah.
No one knows
That's
me,
awesome.
man. It's very, very low key. Don't really get recognized or anything like that, and
which you probably love, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's fine with me. And if it was the other way around and there was fans who were coming up to me and asking for pictures and autographs, I had no problem doing that either. That's completely fine too. But I mean, I would say very low key. Don't deal with a ton of that at all. Which is fine. It's just it's just the way it is, and I'm okay with that. So, has your high school football coach? By the way, is your high school football coach the same high school football coach when you were there? Yes, same football coach. Yes, yeah.
Does he ask you to come back, talk to the kids or anything like that?
Yes, I've went back. So every year, not this past year because of the pandemic, obviously, but I always go back to my hometown and I speak to the middle school. I speak to the kindergarten. I speak to the high school. Speak to the football team. All those different types of things. I actually have a camp at my high school that supports pediatric cancer and research for that.
That's amazing.
And I always have that in the summer. And I try to have my whole town come. All the kids come, and we get to go out. We run drills. We have pizza after, and all those sorts of things. So it's a really great day. Try to really give back to my community. It's something that's important to me. But yeah, same football coach, great guy, and have spoken
What's his name?
Teams. Coach Kevin Henley. He's been there for a while, even years before I was there. We call him the Gray Wolf because we're the West Morris Wolf Pack, and he's got gray hair, so we call him the Gray Wolf. And he's a legend, man. He's got He's a legend. So
Hey,
he's
my
your
high school
typical
football coach.
high school football coach, man. Like tucked in shirt, sunglasses, slick back hair, just like phone on the hip. You know what I'm saying? Just like directing traffic, barking out orders. Like he's just.
It takes a
everything
special guy to be a great high school football coach.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree with
totally.
you more. And that's exactly what he is for sure. So
My coach, Coach Duddy, was a great coach. When he was in high school, he played at Brick Township under Warren Wolf.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that name. He was one of the greatest high school football coaches ever. He had like over 300 wins. And
wow.
my coach, I think he won 2 state championships as a quarterback when he was in high school. Came back, coached us at Central. Was a great coach. We went to the state finals against Warren Wolf. How cool is that for him? For him, that's amazing. For us, it was a game, but for him, it was like, imagine doing that. That's kind of cool. So I love great high school football coaches. They're very inspirational.
Yeah.
They touch thousands of kids' lives throughout their career. It's really cool.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, he was at my wedding. That's another example of a high school coach that was at my wedding. Just the impact he had on my life, not only from a player, but from a person as well. I mean, they're just great people. He's a teacher too. There's a certain type of person you got to be a teacher, growing up with kids and stuff like that. And he's an excellent guy for sure. So
Mike, what are you going to do when you're done? What is your, I know you're not thinking about being done yet because you're still in the league.
Yeah.
Like, has this thought crossed your mind? Like you want to coach?
Yes.
You kind of alluded to some things. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, I think coaching could be a possibility. I think scouting, getting in the personnel department side of things could be a thing as well. I really like to watch tape. I like to grind on tape and evaluate and those types of things. But I do like to coach as well. I like to be on the field a little more hands-on, like with the players and stuff, trying to decide kind of what level that would be at. But that's definitely something that I would want to get involved in for sure. And then maybe on the side, do some real estate syndication and stuff like that. Just that's definitely an avenue I want to get into, when I'm done. I think, passive income, multiple streams of income, I think are extremely important. And I think that could, be a situation I get involved in as well to kind of help me out in that aspect.
So we talked about this. One of the reasons I bring it on the show, we talk about Bitcoin, right? So you bought some Bitcoin, you said recently. You're going to be a hodler moving forward. So you're going to hold on to this, never sell, hashtag never sell.
Exactly. Yeah. Bought the dip, I believe is that what they say, right? Buy the dip. So hopefully the dip, just keep going back up from here. We'll see. But
and like you said, you're not that, you don't know much about it other than the fact, I think you told me you understand you need to be in it because of what you said, inflation and
inflation, just a hedge on inflation, the weakening dollar. I think that's something that you read and something that guys say, this could be the next step, right? To kind of replace the dollar and stuff like that. So definitely want to get into it. I mean, if it's going to be at a couple $100,000 a coin, then obviously what is it right now? Maybe when I got the dip it was like 31,000. That's a a big discount, right? So I think to get in now was probably a smart play for sure. So.
They call it being orange pilled. That's why if you look at my logo on my YouTube, you'll see it's a little orange pill guy being orange pilled. So you've been orange pilled. Got another one.
Exactly.
So what about these? What about the NFL players? You know anybody in the league that's talking about Bitcoin? Is this like a topic of discussion across these guys in the locker room? Or?
Guys talk about it for sure, just as like another investment. I haven't had like a sit down conversation with anybody like on a more serious level, but there's guys who are in it for sure who definitely talk about it in the locker room and just use that as a different, investment tool. Like it's a different asset class that you can get into and. Kind of like I said before, that inflation and the weakening dollar, it's kind of like, it could be a hedge against that, and I think it used to be gold, but I think guys maybe are now going towards more cryptocurrency aspect of it. And, guys definitely talk about it. I know some people who have made some pretty good money on it and stuff like that, but, hopefully this would be a long-term play and, kind of help set yourself up for the future. So.
Okay, I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm going to let you go now. We've been on for about an hour. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And there you go, guys. Kansas City Chiefs fullback, Michael Burton.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate your time, and I had an awesome having a conversation with you.
Thanks, brother.